Thank you everyone for being here. And why I'm saying thank you all of you for being here is because I literally mean it. I am glad that there are so many people who are working in the field of clinical research in India. I'm one person who has gone through one and it's changed my life substantially. So you guys actually make miracles happen. And I'm one of the miracles which has happened. So thanks a lot. Let me give you a quick update about myself so that you understand what I went through. I come from a very small village in Kerala, and I managed to do very, very well in life because I sort of believed at that time in life that nothing is impossible. So I studied in a Malayalam medium government school where there was a 30% pass rate. And because my parents inculcated in me the belief that all problems are solvable, I went and cracked all the physics and math problems for my JEE entrance and I got into IIT. So I was doing very well in life. After IIT, I got into a management institute. And then I moved into corporate life with a gusto like anybody else. I jumped in. And I managed to do very well in my career. So in 11 years' time, when I was 34, I became the youngest chief operating officer for the telecom sector in India. I guess I'm still the youngest at 34. Nobody has beaten the record. So I'm slightly older now, but so I was on top of the world. I thought I had arrived in life. And I set a target for myself that by the time I'm 45, I'll be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Well within reach, because from 24 to 34, I had managed to become a younger CEO. Fortune 500 company had my name on its balance sheet. So the target was very clear, and I was going for it. Unfortunately, fate doesn't always agree with you in all these decisions. And this bugger actually threw a googly at me. So the googly was that I had this weird physical challenge which started. Every time I would lift something like a cutlery in my hand, a spoon, a fork, or even better, a glass of beer, my hand would start shaking. And every time I tried to climb up steps or climb down steps, I would feel as if I'm about to fall. So my balance was compromised. I went and met a couple of doctors, and they told me, no problem, you're like perfectly okay, no issues. Somewhere down the line, the deep tendon reflexes went away, but the doctors still couldn't figure out exactly what is the problem. So I started joking about this condition, saying, I got this handshaking problem because I'm a great sales guy, so I keep shaking hands with everybody. That's why I got this problem. But, underneath all that, I was quite worried, especially because in a high-profile job like being chief operating officer of a circle in a small circle, so I was in Cochin and Coimbatore, etc. You're a big shot there, so you get invited for all kinds of functions. And every time I go for one of these, I would be petrified because I have to climb up those 2-3 steps. And I would be very worried whether I would trip and fall. So in my usual fashion, I decided that I will go after this problem. And I rolled up my sleeves and went to work. So I started gymming for a couple of hours every day. I started walking, I started doing yoga, and I thought I would get better. Unfortunately, the problem continued, and it started deteriorating. So I had to leave my job. I went for a less stressful job, and somewhere about 7 years after it started, I had a fever. And the fever spiked the condition substantially. And within about a couple of days, I was completely laid up. So I was horizontal. I couldn't lift my hands. I couldn't lift my feet. My eyelids started drooping. I couldn't keep my eyes open. And my voice started going away. And I was wheeled to the nearest hospital. I was lucky because at that time the doctor figured out what is the problem. So it was a autoimmune disorder. I'm sure all of you guys know what it is. So my white blood corpuscles had become traitors and they were attacking my body, the bastards. So now the doctor said, okay, now we know what it is, we'll go and treat it. So he gave me a standard treatment, which is called IVIG, immunoglobulin, intravenous immunoglobulin. And I was put on that for 5 days. And it cost me 6 lakh rupees at that time. At the end of 5 days, I was feeling much better. And then I was discharged, I went home, and then I was feeling awesome after that. You know, I could run up my stairs, started walking up to my 9th floor office, and I took my kids out and bought pizza base for them, and I made pizza for them, things I had not been able to do for many, many years. And I started playing cricket with my kids, and I thought, wow, now I've again arrived in life. So I can still become CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Fate was not listening even then. So in 45 days, the condition came back, and it came back with a bang. And that's when I went back to the doctor, and that's when I realized that the problem, the treatment does not work equally for everybody. The IVIG, for some people, it lasts longer, for some people it's shorter. And the shortest was about what I was. So 45 days, I had the condition back, nicely and squarely. So I started off, obviously I can't keep spending 6 lakhs every 45 days. So I went on for alternate treatments, which is steroids. So I started off on 30 mg, then went to 40 mg, 50 mg, 60 mg, 80 mg of prednisone every day. And I started putting on weight. My eyesight started fading, because that's one of the side effects of taking prednisone. And it was still not improving, because my condition was still bad, and every 2 months I had to have 1/5 of the dose of IVIG, because I couldn't afford more than that. And that would give me a slight improvement, and it'll keep tapering down again. So the one thing I told myself is that I will find a solution for this. So I started researching all over the place. I continued my yoga and my walking, though it was excruciatingly difficult to do any of these at that point in time. Walking was difficult because both my feet had lost a lot of muscles and strength. So the condition CIDP, what it does is it affects your immune system attacks your nerves, especially the peripheral nerves, so hands and legs. And then because the nerves have been attacked, the myelin sheath of the nerves go away, and electrical impulses do not reach the muscles, and the muscles fade away. So I had lost a lot of muscles by that time. I was finding it difficult to walk. Added to that was the problem that my left ankle completely lost all control, so every time I would lift up my leg, my ankle would flop down. And I had to really lift it up high so that I would not trip over my ankle. My left wrist also completely lost all its power, so it would just flop down. And I was holding on to a really tough job at that point in time, which I had to travel quite extensively. And I remember there was a time when I landed in Singapore for a meeting, and there was an 8 o'clock meeting. I had to get up at 5 o'clock because I knew that it would take me 90 minutes to put 6 buttons of my shirt. So that was the condition at that point in time. But I was very clear that I would be cheerful and I would keep seeking solutions. I was very clear that every room I entered would be a little more cheerful because I entered it than before. I was very clear that at home I would never let my shoulders droop because I had to set an example for my children. How do you face tough situations in life? And right enough, I actually figured out a potential solution. So there was Dr. Richard Burt in Northwestern University in Chicago, who is conducting clinical trials for all kinds of autoimmune disorders. And CIDP was one of them. So I contacted the doctor, And they immediately got back with the conditions for the clinical trial, and I seemed to fit in beautifully into all those conditions. And I also realized that they had treated about 12 patients in CIDP with this particular protocol. So it is a clinical trial for a protocol, not for a drug. Luckily, the doctor was in India for a short while, and I met him. And we had dinner together, wonderful person. And we were convinced that I should go for the clinical trial. I wish the trial was in India because I had to sort of dish out my entire life saving to go for this treatment. It was not free. They had a nice discount of 40%, but you can imagine in 40% discount in the US terms, where you don't have an insurance, but still life-saving for us. But I managed to go for that. I had to withdraw my PF and stuff and things like that, and we went for the treatment. And the treatment was interesting. It was also in the middle of Chicago, the nicest part of Chicago. The Magnificent Mile and Northwestern Medical Memorial Hospital is there. And I had a lovely room. I had the prettiest nurses in the hospital, so life was good. And the best part was the treatment was an interesting treatment because for the first 7 days, so before the treatment starts, they actually take out your stem cells from your blood, your hematopoietic stem cells, which is your blood stem cells. And it's kept safely. And then when the treatment starts, they give you chemo, I think cyclophosphamide and another rabbit extract called ATG, and something from hamsters called rituximab. So I was filled with rabbits and rats and hamsters and other interesting stuff. And so the entire immune system gets knocked down to 0 level. And once it reaches the 0 level, they inject back the blood stem cells back into the body. The idea is that stem cells become your white blood corpuscles, and the new ones which are formed do not have the issue of the earlier treacherous white blood corpuscles. And for me, at the end of those 7 days, I had this, and by the 10th day, 11th day, I could feel that body was picking up. And I started off on a extremely strong regimen of exercise. So there itself, in the hospital with some 7 or 8 bottles hanging from a stand, I would take the stand and start walking around the hospital, pushing myself to get better. On day 20, I was discharged and I came back to India. For the next 6 months, I really went after getting myself back into shape. So I made an Excel sheet with 27 exercises, 180 days. Each day, for each exercise, I put a target for myself. Each 7 days, the target would go up. And every day, I would go and beat every target I had set for myself. At the end of 6 months, I was feeling completely awesome. Can you just put on the PowerPoint? Yeah, the first slide. So this is what I used to look like before I went for the treatment. Thanks to all the steroids and then I came back, and after 6 months, that was me after that. Next one. Yeah. Handsome dude who's smiling. Go back. You keep showing the handsome dude. So as a digression, one more thing happened thanks to the clinical trial. Apart from getting hugely better, I did not improve 100%. I mean, I did not come back to what I used to be earlier, but it improved substantially. So for me, I got my life back thanks to the trial. Another great thing that happened, which changed my life, was that during the clinical trial, during the treatment, I started writing a book. Now, I couldn't type at that time because my fingers were completely useless, and I used a nice voice-to-text conversion software called Dragon Naturally Speaking. All you guys can try it out. It's an awesome software. You speak to the dragon will go and type for you. So it turned out an awesomely wacky and funny book, which is called Oops, the Mighty Gurgle. It's about an alien called Oops who lands up on planet Earth to save humanity from destruction. But after that book, my life changed because I started giving science workshops to children. And by the time I had left my corporate career, and the 45 years CEO funda went completely out of the window. But I was having fun, because I was going to schools and I was teaching kids science. And in that, I would put some stuff from my book. Especially there was this, species called ceribums from a planet called Holy Butt, who had brains slightly south of where human beings have, So, so that became a major hit with the children. They would and they'll go. So when I talked to them about the ceribums, and I would slip in a concept about neutron stars and the size of the galaxy and how many stars in the galaxy and all, and the whole thing went very well. Till I was invited for a talk in a corporate office, addressing employees. And that changed my life because I realized that the way I have kept my positive spirit through the whole thing was something which would impart a lot of spirit and energy to everybody who listens to it. And once I started doing that, it became an addiction. So for the last 2 years, I must have addressed about 30-odd corporate employees. I've gone to dozens of schools. I've gone to dozens of colleges. And my purpose in life today is to touch 1 million lives positively. And for that, now I have written my next book. You can put the next slide, sir. Slide. Thanks. So this is the book which got launched about 2 months back. It's called From Ouch to Oops. Why? Because when I was in the ouchest moment of my life, I wrote the book called Oops. And so this book is a very humorous book, but it's also full of life lessons which I learned for myself, which I hope people can appreciate. And this book is dedicated to all the protons in the universe which stay positive in spite of all the negativity whizzing around them. So today morning, in fact, I had a radio interview with 94.3. Thanks, you guys, for flying me in here so I could speak to the people in Delhi. So this is my story. So what I want to leave you with is that it's extraordinarily important for people like us to get an option of a treatment. It does not matter that there was a risk in it. And the doctor was very clear. He said there's a 2% probability of mortality. If it was 20%, I would still have gone for it. Because it was so important for me to get some treatment. I was so close to giving up in life when I discovered this. So there is only so much of wellspring of motivation that you have within yourself. You need to keep drawing it out. But at the end of the day, you can still feel depressed, And then you look for whatever options which are available. So it is a patient's right to get a treatment. It is a patient's right to be told the risk and let him decide or let her decide for herself that they can choose the treatment. After I have come back, every one of my talks, I meet at least 3-4 people who come and tell me that I know somebody who is suffering from multiple sclerosis or scleroderma and some of the other autoimmune disorders. Do you have a solution for it? So I literally run a helpline nowadays. The problem is in India it's not available. How many people can spend $150,000 and go to the US and get a treatment? If it is in India, you would have been able to get the same treatment at 5 lakh rupees or maybe 10 lakh rupees. So can you imagine the number of people we are denying this great thing? So let us understand that there are people there who have a right to go through treatments, knowing that there is a risk in it. The option sometimes is suicide. So let's not deny them the opportunity to do that. So as an industry body, we need to fight for the right of the patient. And it's extremely critical that the patients are given that right. So that's my story. By the way, this book is available outside. I do sell, I'm a sales guy all my life. So in the flight when I was coming in, the 2 ladies sitting next to me promised to buy the book, So poor things. They couldn't hide in the loo too long, So But please do consider reading this book. I just got in fact, I just got a mail while I was sitting here and talking to somebody. I got a mail from on my website. It's from a lady who's got a son. It says, "Dear Ramji, thank you for the great book From Ouch to Oops. I always feel hopeless to the point of giving up when I see my son suffering from ADHD, OCD, etc. Your book brought me the courage. Thank you." So I get these kind of messages all the time. Let's make these kind of treatments available for more number of people. That's, I think, what you guys can do for us. Thank you so much.